we're back. Oh my gosh.
We have an Asa!
And Ace is back with
So
us.
it
Oh,
was a fundamentally easier problem.
what happened?
I plugged my phone charger thing into the little USB port on my Surface charger. Turns out that that thing doesn't like to actually share. So my is volume an issue?
Apparently, yeah. Fraginator
Okay.
is keeping us updated.
What's going on?
Oh, good.
We are quiet, but the intro was loud.
Okay.
Oh, really? Oh, dang.
Cool. Something to fiddle with.
Yeah.
So it turns out that I just didn't have it plugged in properly, and so I wasn't actually getting power to my charger dock. So my charger dock was not charging my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So all that time, when I lost like 20% of battery power, I could have been charging it, but instead losing it. So now I'm gonna hover at about 10% throughout the next hour. Hopefully or next 3 hours. Hopefully that'll do stuff. So yeah, technical difficulties. That's pretty much all you need to know. Anybody watching? I have been the king of technical difficulties today.
Hey, no, it was me last time.
But today it's me.
No, I want to be the one with technical difficulties.
You had that last time, man.
Yeah.
You got that last time. It's my time to be
Okay.
the technical difficulty person.
So Asa, since you're here, how about you do your quick little intro? What's up with Eridu in this exact juncture right now?
In this exact juncture, drop the thing. Pretty much the only thing going on in Eridu that's new is recognizing Jolin and not being too pleased at the feeling of being betrayed. So that's pretty much where his mind is at.
Yeah. So, to recap on everything that's been going on, because last week was a lengthy combat, and then quite a bit of stuff happened very quickly thereafter. So, as another sort of recap on everything condensed down, squeezed down, you guys picked up a contract from the Takentire elves. You were to escort people to the north, to the town of Bunstead, and there you managed to escort them there quite safely. You then followed them into the desert, where they continued on to go and retrieve an artifact that you were supposed to guard them returning back to Twin Harbors. Of course, they then let you know, after you'd rescued the few remaining that survived, they let you into the secret that they're not going straight to Twin Harbors, that they are in fact taking a detour, and that they are saying, we're going to pay you a bit more, but come with us. And so, quite disappointed in the extra detour, you continued to follow and were ambushed by drow. By this point, you discovered that the artifact in question was in fact a dead body that was going to be interrogated by the High Elves, the Takentire clan. The drow attacked and stole away with the body. The daughter of the general, Silin, she said that she would go home to her father and let him know that they've lost the body. But she now has a drow prisoner in tow. So she goes back there to apologize and instructs Villarin, the advisor, to follow you to Twin Harbors and pay you. He manages to get your payment, but upon arriving at Twin Harbors, you discover that the town is under a sort of stalemate. There's no external siege going on. Everyone seems to already be in the town, but the central connecting islands of the two shores of Twin Harbors, the two harbors of Twin Harbors, the central islands seem to have been occupied by mountain dwarves, those that were historically on the side of the drow in conflicts past. The drow have taken the eastern shore and are holding it, not with any aggression towards the general population, but there's a greater presence there, and so the military forces of other sides are knowing not to enter there. And the western shore is human mercenaries, not a standing army, but human mercenaries being employed by the Takentires. And so technically the Free States aren't directly involved, but it is in Free State territory, sort of, and the Takentires are involved, who are members of the Free State. And so it's a complicated situation, but one that was made ever so slightly more complicated when, upon finding a band of rebels organized by Okrim's wife Emily, it later transpired that the Drow are bringing a more powerful artifact to the town. It's unclear what that artifact is for certain, but it might just be an orb of destruction. It's going to explode everything around you. So you concoct a plan to steal it so that you can get it away from them and into safer hands. The plan is concocted. Emily goes to let her street urchins know that they need to go and cause a distraction. Okrim and Eigner, along with a bunch of others, decide that they're going to join in with this distraction. And something goes awry. Emily doesn't return. And on the day in question, upon starting the distraction, more drow appear, weapons drawn, and Emily is dragged onto a rooftop. A knife to her throat, and everyone is told to stand down. Eridu is outside the town. He is with the smaller band of rebels who are going to steal the artifact, using the distraction to hopefully draw extra military forces away from the artifact. But it seems that that isn't the case. Eridu and everyone else note that the cart is still approaching the town. The distraction should have happened by now, but nothing's happening. No shouts, no screams. Everything seems eerily quiet. And so we shall start with Okrim and Eigner in the town.
Okay.
Emily is on top of a second-story building with Jolin, the Drow general that Eridu has met and spoken to, but the rest of you wouldn't identify by name or even by face.
And I'm guessing Eridu didn't realize Jolin was there because he wasn't in that party.
That's correct.
Okay, so my revenge plot has failed already.
Okay. If I remember correctly, I guess, because we weren't quite yet in the adults weren't quite yet a part of the distraction yet, if I remember correctly, right? Like the kids had gone through,
Yes.
They were starting to, we were still on.
Yes, so you guys aren't surrounded. You guys have just noticed an increased presence of drow coming out of doorways and alleyways and things. So they seem to be aware that others will be joining the children, because it's definitely more military presence than just subduing children. But no one's drawn weapons on you yet. No one seems to have noticed you guys sort of waiting in the wings. So you guys can see this all happening.
No one has drawn weapons. Okay, because I thought they did.
So the only one who has a weapon was Jolin,
Yes.
because he's got Emily.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. But they have stepped out of the area. Like there's a bunch of them that have stepped out of like buildings and like alleyways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they have weapons. They're just not drawn currently.
Yes. So it's all like hands on sword hilts, ready to go.
Okay. So then, I am going to burst forth. Into the street. And as I do so, knowing where everyone is, I'm going to motion to everybody, stand down, take a step back, and then I'm going to look at, I'm assuming the kids are now like frightened and huddled, right? Or they're like not huddled together, but they're like kind of scared.
Yeah, the children don't know what to do, so they're immediately sort of withdrawing and doing whatever the drow are indicating them to do.
Are they frozen or are they backing out? This makes a difference.
They're frozen,
Okay.
but not still. They're not paralyzed, but they're not bolting. They're not running away.
Right. Okay. So then I'm going to walk through the drow that are the formation that was already there.
Hmm.
I'm going to walk through it, and if they don't move, I will shoulder contact.
Without tightening the dagger to Emily, and in fact sort of leaning her to the side slightly so he can confront you more directly, the drow with the knife to Emily's throat points to you.
You will wait.
I don't think you quite understand.
I don't think that you understand. And I continue and make a line. You make a line. And I
Give me an
continue on
intimidation
center.
check with advantage.
Oops, hold on. That fell. Oh, nat 20 on the first roll.
Ooh.
That's a good way to start.
Yeah.
He wraps his arm around Emily's neck and holds the dagger there, but you can tell that he's waiting to see what happens.
Okay. So I'm going to continue forward, and I'm going to, once I get into the center, are the drow making a line or making a hole? That's the word I meant to say, was making a hole. Are they making a hole?
They're not making a hole, but they are allowing you to sort of shoulder barge through them. They're making it difficult, sort of slightly getting in your way, but you're able to move past them.
Okay. So then, in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the center, and I'm going to kneel down below all of the drow. Like, if I have to, I'll sit down. So that way, like, I have a clear line of sight of all children.
Okay.
And then I'm going to just look at them and kind of, like, look around, and I'm going to say, gather here. And then I'm going to wait for them to come to me.
They look around reluctantly and start making moves towards you. A few of the drow now look up at Jolin. He gives them a nod, and they step back and make a formation line along the side of the street. So they've stepped away from you at this point.
Okay. So I'm gonna gather them around, and I'm going to give all of them as much of a hug as I can. And then I'm gonna tell them kind of quietly. I'm gonna say, find our people. Stand behind them. Okay, they'll keep you safe. And then I'm going to go on.
I was just going to say, like, while this is going on, Eigner's kind of hiding back and trying to make himself inconspicuous for the moment, but I'm doing a scan of the surrounding area, and let's see, I rolled a 16 on a perception check, so that's going to be a total of 20 perception check to try and see if there are the ingredients for a diversion. Like, I'm looking for something that can turn into fire, essentially. Like, I'm looking for something flammable, and then I'm looking for something to make that flammable thing on fire. And
You see on a wagon that's in the street, sorry, not a wagon, a cart. So it's just got two wheels and it's currently angled. Are rounded hay bales that are completely dry, obviously taken from the farms further to the east. And standing right next to those is the Red Dragonborn from the rebel group. He is looking around, seemingly unaware of the fact that he is right next to a large source of flammable material.
Wait, so he's our homie. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
He's our homie. Well, in that case, I will very slowly, while Okrim is doing his thing, I will just very slowly walk over to his side. And essentially, at a moment's notice, I want to be able to order him to light that bitch on fire. You know, because, yeah, you know, just like when we need that moment to happen, I'm going to order it to happen.
For you to get on over there without attracting much attention, I'm going to ask for an odd check.
Okay.
Could I ask for a stealth skill check, but with charisma as a base?
Interesting. That is much better for me. But I'm still wearing heavy armor, so am I still going to get disadvantage on it?
No, because
Okay,
this
cool.
is going to be based on how dexterous you are.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That's going to be a total of 12.
Right.
Not abysmal, but not fantastic. Just right in the middle.
Yeah. As you're shifting over towards him, you will notice that the drow seem unaware, with the exception of one. And you notice him, he's at the end of this line that's formed. So he's actually relatively close to you. He's about 40 feet away. And as he notices you out the corner of his eye, his head turns. And then he leans towards the one next to him, and you see his mask stretching as if he's talking.
I don't like
But you are now next to the Red Dragonborn.
Okay, well, I'm just going to keep it cool for the moment and keep an eye on that drow that noticed me. Yeah.
Right.
And I'll turn it back to Okrim. I just wanted to say that I'm ready to do that when the moment is right.
Okay, so let's see what Okrim is doing next, and then we'll skip to Eridu for a moment.
Okay, so as soon as I feel like the children, so I'm going to stand up and I'm going to like look around and make sure that the children are safe and with the rebels.
Yep. As soon as you sort of give them the permission to dismiss to the rebels, they do so. They quickly scatter to any non-drow adults that they find.
Okay. Then I turn to Eridu and I say, I am Okrim Bawial, noble of Celestris. You do not belong here. This is sovereign land. You do not belong in Dwarven territory. You do not belong in the Free States. This is a petty war between elves that has no business being here. Stand down and extract your armies. You may take your wares, but you will leave. Correction, they will leave. You will stay. You, for your crimes, as the leader and as the man who kidnapped my fiance, your head will stay in the stockade or on the chopping block. I care not which.
Damn, boy. Damn. Big words.
I often find that the harbors soften up the soul. Most people here, they don't offer up the fight quite like you. But you're not from round here. You're from the fancy places. For the West. You have no fight here. Why don't you go on back home? I'll even let your pretty young thing here go with you.
I am from here. Was not born here, but these are my lands. Everyone who lives in these walls, whether they are dwarves, whether they are dragonborn, whether they are humans, whether they are Aasimar, everyone who lives in these walls are my people. The lands that you have invaded and the lands that your cousins have invaded are not yours. This place is not a part of your war. I stand here, and if you strike me down, I promise you that my death will mean 1,000,000 will rise from the west, from the dwarves, and 1,000,000 will rise from the east, from the Free States. And you will know terror and death unlike anything you have ever seen.
There is a danger to retreating. I can't just allow my men to be slaughtered. I would need your word as a delegate, as you seem to be portraying as, of Celestria. Celestris, even.
Doesn't matter. We could whichever one.
I think Celestria is like a My Little Pony thing. If you're speaking on their behalf, I want your word that them tacking tires will have their hands tied.
Their tacking tires will have their hands tied because while you have a choice of having your head in stockade or chopping block, their representative here has no choice. His head will be on the chopping block.
You talk a good talk, friend. I think I'll be keeping hold of my leverage for the time, but give my men an hour. We'll withdraw from the eastern shore.
Your men can go.
I'd like to take this opportunity to give Okrim and Eigner inspiration at this point, if you did not have it before.
Cool.
I still have not used it. I haven't used
Oh my god.
it once. I have the original inspiration.
Jesus.
I'm
Oh.
inspired. I am so inspired.
So, at the suggestion that the drow withdraw, Jolin gives a nod to his men down below, and they begin marching towards the gatehouse. But they're also seemingly like packing up and getting gear on. You can see that some of it's travel gear, but a lot of it's heavier weaponry, replacing the swords at their belts with halberds in hand.
If anyone that is not a drow makes a motion, I will snap to them with the deadliest eyes humanly possible. I will ready dissonant whispers on my own people if they even attempt to put their hand on their hilts.
At this point, we will jump to Eridu. Eridu, you are outside. This is going to be within the same span of about 5 minutes. So there'll be no motions going on inside the city walls at this point. So you see that there is a wagon train approaching. 6 wagons. The third one back, of which, so there's 2 in front of it, is the one that reportedly holds the chest with the device inside.
Okay. Now, were we going to go for the device, or are we going to try to take the equipment that allowed the drows to move through walls? Is that a thing?
That was the thing that they couldn't quite agree on. The 2 drow that were involved in the rebellion couldn't agree on whether or not the device being brought was either these gauntlets that could allow you to move through walls, or a big device that would cause an explosion.
Okay.
So it may be that both are being brought. It may be that just one of them is being brought. So there's a bit of ambiguity.
Okay. Either way, whatever it is in the chest, 3 wagons across, and I am with the stealth party, which consists of which characters again?
They consist of. I was looking for that list, and I think I may have put it in a safe place, which is always a bad place to put things. If memory serves, you had the 2 halflings, 1 of the drow, and 2 humans. You had the team of 5. Whereas these
do they all have
are with the others.
Do they all have names, or are these red shirts?
These are red shirts.
Okay.
The only ones that have names are the Dragonborn and the Gnome Lady.
Okay. Presumably, Eridu would have taken the time to get all of their names.
Yes, he'll know their names. Eridu has their
Okay.
names.
All right, Eridu's got them locked down. So when one of them dies, he will shout out their name. So I'll turn to the crew and suggestions.
Well, from our position in the tree line here, well hidden, I suggest that we stay hidden until the wagon comes through the gatehouse. Just as it's getting through, two of them are already in. The distraction should start any moment. We jump, we get in, we get out. I suggest the two taller ones, and he points to the humans, they act as a sort of external distraction. Maybe running further up the road so the drow chase them. I may not have thought this part through.
Yes, I think that sending out a distraction is not advisable in this moment. We already have a distraction on one end of the gate. We don't need two, especially if it's going to put lives at risk. I agree. We should wait for the distraction to start, though. So, position yourselves. When it starts, I will move first, and all of you take my flanks, and keep anyone off of me. I'm going to get in,
Look to each other
grab a
and
thing,
nod.
and get out.
All right.
Your jobs are to keep me alive. Just that.
The wagons draw closer to the city walls, and then they stop. Not a one comes into the gatehouse. You notice that the large gates are still closed. Then a lot of the drow from the rear wagons begin moving towards the front. You can hear some chatter going back and forth, but again in this harsh guttural tongue that you don't recognize. The gates don't appear to be opening, and now everyone's gathered around the first and second wagons. The third wagon, the one with the chest, is now unguarded. As in, there's no one beside it and no one sat in the seat of the wagon.
Okay.
You can't see inside it, that they're all covered by tarps. And there are a sizable number of drow at the front. You count at least 30.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's
you have
likely-
the ability to run straight for the third wagon.
I'm going to turn to the crew and say, it's likely this is a distraction. If something that valuable is left in a wagon, I don't know why they'd leave it unguarded. I'm going to attempt to get inside. You all stay where you're at. And should I get seen, let them capture me. Don't blow your cover. If anything very bad happens, leave immediately. Otherwise, just guard my retreat.
They look to each other and nod. The drow in the party, however, has been leaning his head a little further forward and been listening. And he puts his hand up to stop you for a moment. I think they're locked out.
It would appear so. What are they saying?
They're saying that they can't get an answer from inside. There's a lot of movement. They're saying that I don't recognize the title. There's someone inside the wagon with the chest. And there's... No. They're talking about maybe turning the wagons around. I don't know what to make of this. It sounds like they're really undecided. I think we've maybe got a window of 10 minutes tops.
All right. Why don't you come with me? Worst case scenario, you pretend to be one of the caravan drivers and pull the wagon away.
Me? I don't do well with confrontation. I'm more of a thinker kind of guy. I don't want to get directly involved here. I mean, you said we got to be on your flank, that there are these big human guys. I was just going to hide behind them.
Can you drive a wagon?
I guess so.
Is he the only drow? He's the only drow in the party, right?
Yes, the other drow is inside the city.
You are the least conspicuous. If you were to take the reins, they wouldn't notice anything was amiss until the wagon was already on the move, in which case they have to bring their troops together and actively get themselves moving after us. We will be in a wagon, they'll be on foot. You have probably the safest position of anyone at the head of that wagon. I'll deal with whoever is inside of the wagon itself, and the rest of them here will guard our flanks and cover us should things go wrong.
All right, you seem mighty confident, sir. I'll do my best.
You can do this. It's not that hard. You need the confidence, otherwise you'll spook the horses.
So, get to the seat, ride the horses away. Get to the seat, ride the horses. Get to the seat, ride the horses. Okay, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. Am I waiting for a signal or anything? What if I mess up the signal? What if there is no signal? What if you get captured and I don't hear a signal? Am I just going and riding these horses without anything else going on? I don't think I can do this, man.
You can do this. Pull up up the road. There is a small crossroads that we can meet at. The rest of the party will head in that direction. You ride the wagon there regardless, whether I get captured or not, and meet up with the rest of the group there. If we do not get the chest, abandon the wagon, head back to the town with them. You have your orders, they don't change. You take the wagon to the crossroads, meet up with everyone else, you guys get back to the city. I will deal with the chest, and with whomever is inside.
Okay. So just to clarify, you're asking him to ride the third wagon back, the one with the chest in?
The third wagon is the one with the chest in it, right?
Yes.
That's the one that's the one I want him to get. Yeah. Then ride that back to a crossroad, like, I don't know, a couple miles up the road.
Yeah. Okay, and everyone, you and everyone else is just going to follow, sort of like in the tree line, hidden.
I'm going to go with him, and I'm going to get into the back of the wagon and deal with the person inside. The situation inside the wagon.
This is so exciting.
He stands up straight. He straightens his jerkin, which you can see matches the leather design of the drow armor, but isn't in fact leather. He's wearing essentially quilted armor, if anything. It seems to be more just layers than an actual protective coating. He does, however, have a few daggers by his side. He stands himself up straight, rolls his shoulders, and then he seems to almost transform. The moment he strides from the tree line, he's got a strong air of confidence about him. Like he was born to be a commanding officer. And he just strides towards that wagon.
All right. I'm going to, stealth along and try to get to it as unnoticed as possible. I assume I need to roll for that.
Yes. So dexterity-based stealth check. This will be like a quick dash from the tree line to the back of the wagons.
All right. Come on, dice. Don't be like technology.
Don't screw it up.
It's a 12. It's not great.
Well, you got that fat bonus, though, right?
I rolled a 7. It's a total 12.
Oh, it's a total of 12. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. You suck.
The drow, who we shall name Vorik. Vorik. He gets into the seat. He sort of settles down a bit, and you manage to dash along behind the wagon. Just as you get to the wagon, you hear a shout in that guttural tone. Very quickly skid behind the wheel and tuck your feet in. Just as you hear steps come to the side of the wagon. And then you hear more discourse. And Vorik responds, again in this guttural tone, but you can tell that it's his voice. They talk back and forth for a moment, and then the footsteps edge away, as if they're unsure. You then hear a harsh whisper. Are we there?
Are we there is what it said?
Yes.
Okay. And that came from inside the wagon?
No, it came from the driver's seat. It came from Vorik.
That was Vork? Oh, okay, yeah. If I can kind of give him like a little bit of a knock on the bottom of the wagon. Just kind of a quiet little sound.
Brilliant. You then hear a quick "Yah!" and the horses slowly start to clop away. You've got the opportunity now to quickly either hike yourself up over the back of the wagon inside the tarp covering, or cling to the bottom of the wagon.
I'm going to hop into the back.
You hop into the back of the wagon. You see that there is a chest looking rather Ark of the Covenant-y. It is gold inlaid. There are creatures on the corners leaping out in a sort of rampant pose. They have strange faces, sunken eyes, and you notice that there's a shimmer around where their eyes would be. There are poles sticking out of the front and back to aid in carrying. The sides seem to be ornately carved with caricatures of people, people being flat and standing in odd poses. But weapons you can quite clearly identify. There's also a cityscape along one side. There's an incense burner at the far end, kind of filling the back of the wagon, or the front, however you want to think about it, with smoke. And standing in that smoke is the silhouette of a figure, arms folded, staring at the chest. And you notice just a glint of light hitting the eyes. And you see them focusing on the chest and then flicking up at you the moment you step into the back. Inside the city, Okrim and Eigner have their situation going on. The drow seem to be mostly withdrawing. It's at this point that you hear a cry from the shoreline, several blocks away from you. Does anyone speak Dwarven?
I do.
Yeah, I believe Eigner does, yeah.
Eigner, you hear an angry Dwarven shout. They started retreating! Onward!
Oh, God.
You then start hearing the heavy footfalls of dwarves. Jolin is still on the rooftop with Emily. He has been whispering into her ear for most of this time while his men have been gathering their supplies up. He has been flicking his eyes back towards Okrim.
Okay, then, yeah, I'm going to yell, very loudly, I'm going to yell, they have surrendered. Take one step and you face me.
I think you'll find yourself in not the strongest of positions there, Asimar. I have your fiancé. Now, my men are retreating, as we discussed. But I think you'll want to refrain from threatening me. And that, as he says that, he tightens his grip.
Okay, let me figure out the situation. Are the dwarves, are the dwarves attacking us? Does it seem like an aggressive act, or does it seem like they are towards us, or does it seem like they're an aggressive act towards the drow?
That's unclear at the moment.
So I was talking to the drow. I was turning and talking to the drow, not to Jaredin or whatever.
You're talking to the dwarves.
Yeah, I'm talking to the dwarves.
Ah, right. The dwarves aren't visible yet. They are several blocks away. You can just start hearing them marching and this one shout.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I am essentially.
Wait,
this is a show of force for Eridu or whatever his name is. I forget again.
It's Jolin. And wait.
Yeah.
Jolin.
This is a show of
because
force
I thought
for
I
Jolin,
just heard that.
Not for. Right, but I mean at the same time I hear dwarves and I hear a battle cry,
Okay.
I'm going to know what's going on. Like, I may not know what he's saying, but I do know that dwarven battle cries are not exactly hard to figure out.
Uh-huh.
You know, so I don't know if he's saying attack the dwarves. I don't know if he's saying, you know, or I mean, attack the drow. I don't know if he's saying attack the city. I don't know if he's saying, you know, go get a man. All I know is that I hear a battle cry, and
What if he's just ordering lunch in a really loud voice?
right, but then I hear like
marching feet,
marching feet. Like, it's the situation itself is almost sure
it's a large lunch party. Come on.
Right.
A lot of them are going through the drive-through the same time, the walk-through, if you will.
Even then, it's still even then it has nothing to do with stopping them because they're too far away to even do anything. It is a show for Jalen.
Oh, okay.
It is more of a, so that way he is aware that I am siding with him. That I am saying that I am willing to put myself forward and keep my word. And as I do that, I will be moving in the direction of the sound.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
Okay. He'll watch you continue on with your motion, and instead of tightening his grip and giving a little cut on Emily, he will instead slightly loosen his grip as you're walking away. But you see that he's still got a good hold of her.
Right. Is Eigner in the direction of the dwarves from me?
Yeah, he'll be closer to the dwarves to you. So
okay, so then as I pass by him, I motion him to come with me, and I'm going to say I need a translator.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will turn to my dragonborn dude right next to me and simply tell him, if things get hairy right now and if a fight breaks out, I want you to light that bitch on fire. Like, pointing at the pointing at the hay bale. I'm just gonna say, like, try and cause a huge distraction. Try and light a ton of things on fire. We're gonna need all the help we can get. Yeah.
He looks at the hay bales. He looks at you. Looks at the hay bales. He looks at you. Looks at the hay bales. What with?
Okay. Forgive me for being a human, but I thought you could do the you know, the...
Oh, right. That's a really good idea. He then gets this massive grin that reveals all his sharp and pointy teeth. And now he's just staring at the hay bales.
Yeah. I mean, don't get too excited. Not yet. I mean, only if it really seems like things are falling apart.
Eigner, come on!
Okay. All right. I gotta go. But I'm glad I brightened his day a little bit.
Once Eigner catches up with me, I want to start moving at a faster pace. Not a full dead-on sprint, but moving at a faster pace to be able to meet them as quickly as possible.
Okay. As you start winding through the streets, you start rising up one of the hills that unfortunately plague this side of town. And as you begin cresting the top of the hill, you see in a parting of the buildings some of the bridgeways between the central islands and the shore now have armies of dwarves marching across them. They are carrying spears, they're carrying halberds, they are carrying warhammers, and they are fully armored. You see that the least armored of them looks to be wearing scale mail. There is at least 100 dwarves heading this way.
Wow. That's intense.
Okay, so I'm going to say... I'm going to turn to Eigner and say, I need you to translate. I know they no comment. I want you to translate.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So I'm going to say, mighty warriors, stand down.
Most of them continue marching across the bridge. However, the few that have sort of come close to this side sort of stop for a moment, look around, and spot you between the buildings. And
Okay, I will continue to step forward in their direction.
you see one of them who's wearing a helmet. Most of them are just wearing like metal skull caps, but this one's wearing a full helm.
Right.
With a lower face visor. He raises the lower face visor so you can see his whole head. Your name, sir?
Okrim Bawial, noble from the city of Celestris.
I shall meet you. And he marches on with the rest of his troops to the end of the bridge.
Okay.
And the way his bridge is coming in, it's now at the bottom of the hill that you've just climbed up. But there are more coming in from other sections. They're pretty much going to hit the whole harbour.
Right.
Do you go to meet them?
Oh, absolutely. No weapons drawn. If Eigner has a weapon drawn, I will. Before we come close, I will motion him to breathe.
No, dude, I've been cool this whole time.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I obviously don't even carry weapons on me because I have never used them this entire campaign.
No, that's not true.
Well, no, that's true.
You used a crossbow once.
I used a crossbow one time, and that was a huge mistake, and never again.
And then it got lit on fire.
As a light. But anyway, so I don't have my weapons on me, and so I'm going to move basically free, open arm, like basically showing that I'm not armed at all, like in the internet, in the completely universal,
So the universal sign for showing you're not armed is when you take your arms and like pull them in your sleeves.
I was gonna say the universal motion of I am an open and soft target, so clearly I'm no threat.
It is when you get to the bottom of the hill and meet them at the bottom of the end of the bridge. It is then that you notice that the winds are starting to pick up. Clouds are starting to gather in the sky. You still got sunlight, but you notice that there's a bit of chill coming along. And the seas just at the edge of the harbour are starting to get a bit choppier. This dwarf who was at the front...
Winds of war?
He said the thing.
Roll credits!
Right?
That's it. Game's over. See you later, guys. That's the universal rule. Once the name of the show has been revealed, it's over.
Bummer.
That's law. It's constitution.
Ends a lot of movies and TV shows real quick.
Yep.
As soon as he sees you, he steps forward and takes his helmet off. And you see this mohawk just poof up out of the helmet that was suppressed quite handily by the thing. It is shockingly red, not matching his beard at all, which is sort of like this dark brown with a grey streak down the middle. And he strides forward and holds out a gauntleted hand as if to shake your arm.
I repeat I'm assuming I know that standard dwarven return. If there is a further brotherly action, so if there's you give a hug, or if you do an extra pat, or if you kiss cheeks, I don't care, whatever it is, I want to indicate that this is a brotherly motion.
So that'll be clasping the arm and touching heads.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Class arms. He follows your lead on the touching heads, and then he strides back, touches the shoulder of one of his men, who started to look a little antsy. So, common tongue?
I appreciate it. As much as I'd love to abuse my compatriot here, I think it'll be fine to stay on the same page.
Agreed. Misunderstandings can be very messy.
Agreed.
You two look like warriors.
He certainly is. I'm
I will
but a
say,
noble bard from a
Yeah.
noble family, here to do some noble deeds.
I will introduce myself and say, Eigner Bosh, well met. And I'll say that in the dwarven tongue.
He seems impressed and raises an eyebrow. Your command of our consonants is masterful.
I've spent some time in the dwarven lands. Done a bit of wandering out there. They're fine people.
Good. I'm glad that my hill brethren have treated you well. As you may notice from our attire, we're not from these parts. Why do you meet us? Why do you call us?
We call you because the drow who have invaded your western shores are now on the retreat. Their leader, his head is mine, just as the head of the humans who are aiding the high elves coming from my side will be mine.
You have a lot of enemies, sir.
I have. That is what happens when you are attempting to protect the people who are not just your own.
Heavy lies the head that wears the crown. I see that while royalty does not adorn your shoulders, you do have an air of authority of you.
Thank you, good sir. You do as well.
Alas, I am not the commander of my people, but I serve my regiment well. I seek to see where my drow compatriots are going.
They are going home.
Allies.
Well, they are going home because they have no fight here.
Then they are breaching their contract with me.
Well, good sir, they're breaching the contract that you have with the Free States. It is the Twin Harbors is a neutral land. You have dominion over the east, we have dominion over the west. But in the end, it is a neutral territory where we can all meet.
It is clear that you have a vested interest in the side of your people.
I have a vested interest in my city, not in my people.
Human. You're one of the more fluid types in these sort of situations. What's your take?
I believe that there should not be any kind of conflict in Twin Harbor. It's not the way of the city. It is supposed to be a place, like Okrim said, where we can all meet in peace and understanding. It should not be the site of bloodshed and political positioning. Whatever the hell it is that's going on here, I still don't understand it.
He then leans in close to Okrim. No matter how many times I hear them talk, it always sounds like an elf saying the word, doesn't it? Very well. You seek not the conflict that we bring. I now have issue with our drow brethren, and I seek to correct that issue at the end of a polearm. Are you seeking to get in my way?
Kindly, sir, I would appreciate a favor. You see, while you employed the drow, the high elves, the Takentire specifically, are also marching on this city. And while they are not a state in our free country, they do deign themselves clearly above all free people. And I will not stand for that either. And I would appreciate, good sir, as a favor from one great man to another, that your finest of warriors help me repel them, to put down the forces that hold my western side, and to rebuke the army that stands by. Surely dwarves will have no problem dispensing on weak elves.
My forebears would have easily taken that bait. The elves are formidable, make no mistake. Dwarves are not bloodthirsty, as some mistake us to be.
Sir, I promise you, bloodthirsty is not what I would ever say. But I've never known a dwarf not to fight when honor and duty and pride is on the line. We have taken your fight from you. I promise one in return.
I will go in conference with the other captains. I know that a lot of them want the head of Jolin. The name of that accursed... He said duty? Sorry, I just got distracted. Like, it just popped up on the side there.
Yeah, I know.
Jolin, the accursed leader of this drow contingent. Breaking the contract is something that is rarely forgiven.
Well, lucky for you, his head is mine. Perhaps an arrangement can be made where I transfer property to you. He knows he's sacrificed himself to me by taking my fiancée hostage. He has been told, and his life has been taken in sparing of his people.
I would like you to make a persuasion check. So
Okay.
this is going to be a little odd. I would say that
Okay.
you have successfully convinced the dwarf that stands before you.
Mm-hmm.
But this persuasion check is going to be how convincing you were to him so that
Right.
he might transfer that convincingness to the captains.
Understandable. Okay.
That's not a word, but yes.
So this is going to be a key moment for my character. Using my inspiration, I can roll and then use the inspiration if I feel to get advantage if I feel like it. Correct? Or do I have to
I
call
forget
it?
what the rules are as the books. My preference would be if you said that you wanted to use your inspiration beforehand, but I'm not going to be terribly aggrieved if you choose after.
I will have no problem doing it beforehand.
I can look it up too.
That's fine. I have no problem doing it beforehand. It's not like I'm going to need many uses of it, and this, in my opinion, is the moment that I've been waiting for to use it. So, it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I rolled a natural one, and then a 16 plus 6
There you
is 22.
Nice.
Wow.
I told you. This was the moment to do it.
It doesn't really
What's the
say
ruling,
anything.
Kyle?
It doesn't really say anything about when you should use it. It just says you can expend it when you make an attack roll, saving throw, or ability check, and you get advantage on that roll. So it seems a
Okay.
little open-ended.
In ruling of advantage, you would have to expend it before rolling,
Oh,
because advantage is you roll 2d20 and take the highest result.
yeah. Okay.
So you would use it when declaring, roll the 2d20 and take a higher result.
Okay. As we have done.
All right. Well,
You see,
So,
very
it doesn't always
inspirational.
need to be playing the game. Sometimes you take a moment to explain rules.
Mm-hmm.
Education.
Hey.
Hey.
okay. He goes back to his men. He whispers something in Dwarven to them and then wanders off. Eigner, you hear that he is telling his men that they'll see a clash of blades today. but it's either one elf or another.
Hmm.
You will
I
go to
see.
see which.
Okay. Well, that sounds like it was like a positive enough thing. I'll give a quick little glance to Okrim and just be like you did all right. You did all right. You did okay.
Eridu, we are going to begin in the heat of combat. You notice that this silhouette has immediately unfolded his arms and is looking set to leap on you. So in the time that it takes for him to uncross his arms, you manage to quickly snap and make a decision on what you are going to do in response. What is your plan for this first round of combat?
If he leaps at me, can I treat him like a projectile weapon and catch him?
Oh, yes.
I think not.
That would be so cool. Just like, boop. Oh, wait, a negative damage, and I'm going to throw you. All right.
If he tries to tackle and grapple you, and you manage to beat his grapple, I would permit you, given the circumstances, and because it would be kind of cool, if you wanted to then try and make a shove to like knock him out of the wagon, only then. But yes, what is your plan for the first round?
I am going to set myself into a stance in a ready position and ready in action for when he attacks me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to attempt to evade and push him out the back of the wagon.
Okay.
Because I just came in the back. So I guess technically I'm going to spend a key point to give him disadvantage for his attack roll, right? Is that a thing? It's totally a thing.
It is
I
now.
don't.
To go into...
Oh yeah, dodge.
To dodge.
Your dodge stance.
Yeah.
You can do that as an action, or monks have the ability. Anyone can do that as an action.
Yeah.
Monks have the ability to do that as a bonus action.
Sweet.
Yes. So I am going to ready my
So you
action.
ready your action to move, and then use
to shove him from the wagon, and
Mm-hmm.
I am going to use my key point to give myself the dodge action as a bonus action.
Awesome. Right. Let's roll for initiative.
And because I'm not doing anything, I don't get any bonuses, right? Because I'm not attacking with light weapons and whatnot. I just
That's
get my
right.
normal. Okay, I got a 19.
So, this may be the most anticlimactic fight ever.
Oh, really now?
Because I got 18. So Eridu does go first, which means that he readies his action before I leap at him. So yeah, he dives at you and tries to grapple you. Make either an athletics or acrobatics check.
And then he's
Okay.
getting disadvantage on his thing?
Yes.
Yeah. That's how that's working?
Does that work with a grapple? Because it's a skill check. It's not an attack roll.
Ooh.
Well, I have
What
the book here, so I
technically
can
works
keep
then?
looking stuff up, you know.
I spent a key point, but I mean, I'm willing to argue in favor of rules because that's not how how raw is written, because it's not an attack roll.
I'm gonna say he gets disadvantage in this
Cool.
situation.
I got a 16 to dodge out of the way.
The 16 to dodge out of the way. My lowest roll was a 17.
You rolled a
So
17.
he manages to grapple you. So he
All right.
dives at you over the chest, grabs a hold of both of your arms, holds them together, and pushes them down, so forcing you to stoop slightly. And as you do, he holds his face right next to your ear and whispers in this harsh guttural tongue again. And you can tell that it wasn't very pleasant. Someone said rules lawyer.
Yeah, that's me. Okay.
I guess
I
your
will.
Turn. Your
What's-
action is essentially still possible. You could still try and push him out.
Oh, I know. He's a drow,
Yes.
and like, what's he look like as far as like what he's wearing? is he wearing armor like the rest of the drow? Is he?
He's wearing armor, like the rest of the drow are wearing armor, but he's not wearing armor like the rest of the drow. His appears to be metallic, but it's moving like leather. But you can see it catches a sheen like metal. There's something woven into the stitches as well that looks metallic.
Okay. And is he on top of me, or is he just like? Are we on the ground, or is he just grabbing hold of me?
He's just grabbing hold of you. So you're both still standing. He's just sort of like grabbed your arms, pulled you down slightly, and leaned in close.
All right. So then I'm going to, and you tell me how to rule this, but I'm going to take the momentum of that dive grapple to complete what I had said I was going to do. Well, because I can't break the grapple. Well, okay. I'll try to break the grapple and make this work, but if I don't, I'm going to do something else. So I'm going to, in my attempt to break the grapple, push him out of the, like pretty much he grabs me and I roll with it, and I'm going to like push him out of the wagon while trying to break the grapple. If I fail to break the grapple, we're both going to go right out the wagon.
That's cool.
So while grappled, you can still take actions and things. So your readied action to push him out is still a thing that you can do.
Or do I expend my action to try to break the grapple, or is that a thing I just do on my turn?
Well, since you can either try and push him out, or you lose your action effectively. Because you said your action was going to be to ready an action, and with the speed factor initiative, it's basically use it or lose it.
Oh, right, because it's not actually my turn. This is my ready action. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, well,
so in that case,
first round.
Yeah. In that case, I'm going to use my ready action to roll with his grapple and send both of us tumbling out the back of the wagon.
That'll be the way it has to be, unfortunately. Give me an acrobatics skill check.
That is a...
Athletics. I apologize, not acrobatics. Athletics. Strength-based.
Okay. All right. I was hoping to do this dex based because I'm like taking his momentum and just transferring it.
Yeah.
But if athletics is athletics.
Yeah, we'll keep it athletics for now.
Okay. It's an 11.
11. He gets an 8. You tumble out.
Okay. All right. So he dives at me, wrapping his arms around me, and I just kind of like grab onto his armor and just like shoulder roll with his momentum, and we both just go tumbling out the flap, crashing to the ground behind the wagon. I don't know if the grapple would break or not. That's probably his attempt to keep hold of me.
Yeah, we'll make it a strength saving throw on his part to try and maintain the grapple. Gets a 6. The grapple is released. You guys are now both prone on the ground, dust being kicked up in your faces. Moving along the road is the wagon. You guys are now between the rear wagon of the original convoy and the wagon with the chest, now driving away up the road.
So, Asa, you haven't used any of your movement, though, so you could use half your movement to stand up and then try and...
His movement becomes 0 when grappled.
Oh, wait,
Yep.
but the grapple broke.
The grapple is
So-
broken now, I
I'm
suppose.
so confused.
Okay,
Right, but it was
rule
still-
space. It's not my turn. It's not my turn anymore. My turn was to ready my action. That was my turn.
Correct.
Okay.
So I have no more actions left.
Okay.
All right, it's next round of combat.
It
What
is
are we gonna
next
do?
round of combat. So we'll do 4 rounds max, and then skip back to Eigner and Okrim.
Actually, after the combat, can we do the break?
Oh, yes, we can. That'll probably be
Yeah.
about time for it as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what I'm going to do.
All right. What's your
I'm
next
super excited.
action?
Okay, I'm going to get up. Probably whatever action that takes. Then I'm going to use my move action to run toward the wagon. Then I'm going to use my key point to run toward the wagon. And I'm pretty much going to do a shit ton of running.
In your action.
So
you
your
can
action.
action.
Yeah. So dash action, dash bonus action with the monkey point, and
then your whatever half your movement still.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Roll for initiative.
I got a 20. Not a natural 20, but a total of 20.
I got a 7. Right. So you get to act first.
All
So
right.
you pick yourself up and dash towards that
Sorry,
wagon.
I pick myself up and give him this like stern look, like I'm ready to fight, and then I turn around and run.
You managed
And
to
that-
easily catch up, and with the speed that you've got,
I
because
hope so. That's 100 feet.
with the speed, I'll allow you to even just hop up without needing to climb. Just with the momentum, you just sort of kick up and land in
Cool.
the wagon. So you are now
That
in.
was a very anticlimactic battle, but it was cool.
That was pretty cool.
This always happens.
I put all this time into this really interesting combat, you guys. This got some really special armor. You could have gotten it. Wait, you're a monk.
Yeah. You could have given it to your friend Eigner. Just kidding.
Nah, I took a vow of poverty. That'll
Yeah.
keep things.
Straight up. Straight up.
Not even long enough to give to somebody else. Just, oh, here's the thing. Nah.
Nah.
Right, you jump into the back of the wagon. It rolls away. You see that he gets up and begins chasing the wagon, but he can't catch up to the horses. You manage to pull away, and you are heading towards the crossroads a couple of miles down the road.
All right.
End of
So
combat.
that's probably a good place for a break.
That's a good place for a break. All right, so yeah, we'll be back in about 5 minutes, and we'll see what's going on with Eigner and Okrim, and whether or not this big fight might happen or not. We'll see. So join us about 5 minutes. We'll be right